It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we begin a Friday. Gary, how the heck are you?
What a great day to be alive.
It is.
It certainly is. Especially if you do talk radio as your profession.
Oh, my gosh. I can't imagine a better time to be in talk radio.
Yeah, I talk to my friends who are in a variety of businesses, those who haven't retired yet.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, the job is hard. It must be terrible for you. They'll look at me and say, must be just terrible for you. I mean, with just being in talk radio and just the way that it is right now. And I went, what are you talking about? It's the best time ever, and it's the easiest time ever.
Well, and it's funny because we always say that our friends at Newsbusters, Kevin and those folks over at Newsbusters, they always have we've always said they have the worst job because they have to watch the mainstream media stuff around the clock.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you follow them, and you should, on social media, you see how, I mean, they are following everything the liberal media is doing, and it is very good for us, the fruits of their labor. And we always say that must be that must be horrible.
They do the hard work.
but then if you, and of course Kevin has reached out to us and said, no, we love our job.
Yeah.
And if you actually read their social media and their comments on social media, you understand they feel like we do. About our job. And it is, and, there are some people that have kind of taken a different turn and left in recent years and gone on to other things. And I'm thinking, I would be pulling my hair out. Today you were talking about how busy your days have been. The weather's getting warm and, all the snow has melted. And we're it's just that time of year. It's just great. But everything that's going on throughout the day, and I'm thinking to myself, there is no way that I could be, because I'm pausing, I'm coming inside for water and everything else every 15, 20 minutes. And I'm thinking to myself, there is no way, as I look at my phone, there is no way I could be sitting at home. If I didn't have a job doing this, I would be pulling my hair out.
Yeah. I had a busy day, too. Yeah, yard work, golf lesson.
Yeah.
Boy, I could get into some great details about my golf lesson today. Man, am I hitting the ball good, but it's golf, and I don't do a golf show. So I'll have to try to sneak it in if somehow I can relate it to the politics of the day.
Oh, no, we got to get into that. We got to save a segment for that. I was doing I was trying to figure out how I could virtue signal this nice lady who owns a very small little food shop that I go to, shortchanged me $5. And I thought, you know what? She works really hard. I know for a fact she's there at like 4 or 5 in the morning because I drive by and she's already there long before they open. And she shortchanged me, and I thought, you know what? No, it was only like a $4.50 purchase, and I was shorted $5. And I thought, no, you know what? She's earned the tip. Dang it, I don't get to virtue signal because that was an accident. I don't get to say, see, I tip more than 100%. And just have to let it go.
You just did now.
Yeah, I know. I don't get the virtue signal because I'm telling everybody that she shortchanged me. I didn't leave that for her intently. That's the whole point.
All right,
Had I said, here's $5, I know that's more than the food actually costs. I was getting my daughter breakfast. And, it was that's kind of how my day started. And I thought, no, I like her being in the neighborhood. She's a very good person and has a great little shop.
The reason my day was great is not even because of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's that here it's hotter out now. It's light when I have to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I will say this, my whole life is based on doing everything so I can get sleep, especially in my second shift, because I sleep twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who's working now understands it. I mean, it's like, when do I sleep? When do I
Yeah,
sleep?
right.
And for the last really 3 weeks, and since I started swimming, again, because the moat is now, the water in the moat is warm enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm sleeping incredibly great. And for me, that's everything. I mean, that's, well, I think for most people is, if you're not sleeping, you're dragging during the day, and it's not just, it's just not, it's not great for a great positive mindset. So that's actually, for me, everything else is great, but it's the actual sleep. And when I woke up like about 9:30, and I went to sleep probably at, 4:45. And I just slept through the whole thing and woke up and went, this is great.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's, the thing is, we talked about the bed rotting earlier this week.
Yeah.
And I forget who the expert that was on said, or that not was on the show, but in the article that we brought, said something to the effect of, home is only for sleep. You should never be at home. Or maybe, was that separate? That may have been a separate article.
No, that was the same artitle.
It was the same article.
Same article.
Yeah. You're only going to find success if you get up and leave the house.
When you're young.
Yeah.
When you're young.
Yeah.
You should not be in the house except to sleep, which was my life when I was young.
Well, and I saw something, I did see something similar. Someone, another, business expert, success coach, I don't know, also said, you're not going to, the things in life that you're looking to achieve aren't going to be achieved inside those four walls. You're going to, whatever it is, relationships, meeting people, whatever it is, and all that. So it's very similar. It may have been the same person, I don't know, but it was repeated. And I thought to myself, no, that's the thing. You got to get up. One of the things that I found is that the more you're out doing, the more I'm out doing things, the busier I am, the more of the little things throughout the day that kind of add to the pile of things that we bring to the show. It doesn't always make it on the air, but things that you encounter throughout the day, because someone said back in the time when you could write certain things off for your job, before the stupid Republicans redid the tax code, people used to ask me, well, what about, what is it that you can write off? And I said, well, technically, I don't, but I could write off everything, because we talk about everything on the show. So if I go to a movie, well, there's a movie review if we talk about it on the show, right? All right, there's the price of the ticket. Well, I didn't do my taxes that way back then, but, everything you do becomes part of the show. That's why when people ask us, do you really think that way? Is this really who you are? It's exactly who we are.
Well, I was thinking about that yesterday, and this is after that with the baseball player. Oh, I can't think of his last name's from Toronto, Bass, who, Anthony Bass, who came out and said there should be a religious boycott, for example, of Target and Bud Light. Then he had to apologize the next day. And I thought about that in this day and age where people are, we've done the polls, people are afraid to give their opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know why. I was, it is. I was swimming. And when I'm swimming, all these thoughts go through me. I should be swimming a beach and beautiful. I should be like, at my age, I should be like Al Pacino, thinking of the beach, young women.
Yeah.
Things. I heard he wants a paternity test now. I saw that yesterday.
Yeah.
But first I thought, an 83-year-old guy with she's a 28-year-old woman?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't think so.
That is your baby. The 28-year-old is your baby. Grandbaby.
But I was thinking, I just said, in this day and age, I mean, how great is it that to have a job, and because we've done this for such a long time, and what I was thinking is, wow, if I retire someday, will I feel better that I don't have to give my opinion on everything? And I went, no, I'll always want to give my opinion, and I just looking at the scene today, And the fact that, and it's a minority of people on the left that's driving the total insanity. The rest are going along with it. Now, that minority includes the mainstream of the Democratic Party, but it may not include the actual voters out there. They're just remaining silent on it.
Yeah.
But the intimidation, that's the one thing that the people submitting to the intimidation, and there's just something inside of me that goes, hell no.
Oh, no, hell no. Yeah,
and
I don't want to be the old man screaming around the house not having an outlet like this. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I
yeah.
mean, I still am during the day, but it makes sense. My neighbors, if they hear me, I probably don't, but if they hear me, they understand, I guess he's warming up for his show.
Yeah, and that is at the end of the day, professionally, and it does what you do professionally does affect you personally.
Oh yeah.
And the fact is, and what was it? It was it was some story out there about somebody who on the right that they couldn't find another job doing something because it was just remembering after the Trump administration the people that that couldn't find a job out there. Now they're getting into politics for the most part anyway, or lobbying or whatever. So they all ended up, or media. So they all ended up with something. And I just went, That's what I was saying. I go, if I decided to leave this and get another job, well, I already found out I can get another job.
Yeah.
My golf instructor would hire me at his driving range. So I've got that. Because we really don't talk politics at all. We talk life a lot, and we talk a lot of issues, but it doesn't come, where we actually talk the actual political stuff of the day, even though you are, because everything relates almost to the politics
it
of
all
today.
kinds of that's the one thing that's different than from, say 20, 30 years ago, is that you didn't really talk about it outside, off campus, when you're, outside of this. Now everybody talks about it. It blends into it. Not all the time, but it won't take long if you start talking to somebody to bring up something political, some kind of political
because
angle.
you and I give our opinion every day, and then we see what's going on out there, and the blue wave of intimidation. And as I said, the worst we ever felt it was in the summer of 2020, with the big lie of Black Lives Matter, with cops, all police departments being systemically racist and everything that went on at that particular point.
Yeah.
You felt it a little bit. I think we had been talking about the radical liberal transgender activist movement for such a long time that when that wave of intimidation came, we just went, eh. But really, all of it, I think about it, and it doesn't affect anything that I do in my life. And I'm happy that I've been able to be in this profession for this long of a time, or I don't care.
Oh, yeah,
I just don't care. I mean, I love that, because I know a significant portion of people do not have that mentality. They walk around every day afraid to say what they actually believe because somebody might be offended out there, and it's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I would not have that. I might not have that.
Yeah.
If I hadn't been doing this for the last 34 years.
No, I think that's an interesting point, because it could be a different consideration. When you're going through life. If I were doing another job, I don't know how engaged, because there are times when like a neighbor will bring things up, and they'll I guess you don't want to talk. No, I'm ready to talk about anything. I don't have a problem talking about anything. I think some people think that since you talk about it for a living, you never want to talk about it anywhere else. Now, I often will, and this is hard to believe, turn my mouth off and my ears on, because I love hearing what other people think. If I'm in a room with other people, I just love to listen and see, kind of sample what people are thinking.
I actually, this is really, I know this is shocking, but I actually have a couple of parties I have to go to this weekend. I'll actually be socializing with people. I know, it's shocking.
All right.
But I really don't expect any of that, to come up at all. It'll be, it's and if it does, it's fine. But it's so many of the things that I do, it doesn't come up. Maybe sometimes people are afraid if they know what you do. They're like, oh, don't argue with him. He does it for a living.
Yeah. On the Al Pacino front, do you really need a paternity test when the baby's walking around going, hey, I don't know what stinks in here, but I think it's my diaper. I don't think you need a paternity test at that point.
I have no idea where that came from,
Well,
but I'm glad it came.
Hey, ho, hoo-ah. Somebody get me a bottle.
I'll take a blowtorch. Wasn't that one of the...
Yeah. This milk is out of order.
We got a great show ahead.
We do.
Maybe. 866-90-RED-EYE.
Every driver knows the cost of replacing tires is a major expense. What if you could save on tire costs without sacrificing performance or safety? Consider retreads, a sustainable, cost-effective way to rack up your miles. The lower price tag of retreads might make it feel like you're sacrificing performance, but many of the quality retreads available today have proven to perform comparable to new tires. Plus, dependable tire performance also has to do with choosing the right retreads for your application and adopting a tire maintenance routine. Determining the position in which your retreads will be placed and what application they'll be used in should be the first steps you take when purchasing tires, whether new or retreads. This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So it's a Friday, so we're basically clearing off the desk, right?
Yeah, we are clearing off the desk for the big weekend.
So I'm first story I'm looking at right now. The Senate votes to kill $400 billion student loan handout, sets up fifth Biden veto. I didn't know there was such a sense of urgency just figuring that the Supreme Court, they had voted on it separately outside of it. At first, the Republicans wanted to put it in the debt ceiling thing, and then they decided not to, but they put a vote on it last week, and now the Senate voted to kill it. They had Manchin, Tester, and Sinema cross the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it was a 52-46 vote to defeat it. I got to see if I can find it. I'd mentioned it the other day. I thought I had saved it. I got to find Schumer just went crazy on it. Schumer went crazy on it, as if there is this incredible sense of entitlement that you get into debt and it's the government's responsibility to pay it off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just bizarre, and the anger, in his voice because of it.
Yeah.
And as we have stated before, we have had, I think, in the discussion of it over the last year, we had one person, I believe, and that person had college loans.
Yeah.
One person who said, no, I think it's a good idea because I've got the college loans and I didn't get when I... Oh, so you believe that someone else who had nothing to do, what you're saying is you weren't satisfied with the contracts that you signed, whether they were oral contracts with the college, you come here and we'll get you a job. So a college, you believe, screwed you over. The bank you signed in order to go to that particular college, and you believe that because you feel that the college did not, and that's the excuse you're always going to give, the college didn't provide me with the education, and they told me that there were more jobs out there, and the jobs didn't pay what I thought. So somebody else, who's got nothing to do with it, should be responsible.
Right. I shouldn't be responsible. Other people should be.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So I found it here, the audio from Chuck Schumer on the Republican bill to end or to say no to student loan forgiveness. Now, Biden's going to veto it, and they don't have the numbers to overturn it. But the fact is, the Supreme Court. When is that decision supposed to come down? Supposed to come down. That's still to be done now, right?
Yeah, and they have all of June for decisions to come down.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
Beginning of June. I'm thinking, for some reason, it's the beginning of July.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
thinking,
I know it feels like it.
I'm like, wait a minute.
No, on SCOTUS, you and I, on and off the air, were kind of looking at their schedule because they had not, I know that they posted the calendar for June, but they, like a week or so ago, they had not posted their calendar on decisions. Usually it's a Thursday that decisions come down. But yeah, sometime between now and the end of June.
And so I want to play this audio cut, but the tone is what really got to me. The tone of it, and the sense that if you take out a college loan, just by the tone and the, this is something the Republicans are just, horrible for doing this because this is debt.
Yeah.
And it's causing a hardship.
Yeah.
And I'm just amazed at the point he's trying to make that if you choose to take out a college loan, you are, in essence, a victim.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it came across to me.
Right.
So here's part of what he said 2 days ago.
Now on the student debt CRA. Mr. President, today Senate Republicans will begin pushing a terrible measure that would end the pause on student loan payments and overturn President Biden's historic loan cancellation program. Let me be clear. I strongly, strongly oppose Republicans' cruel attempt to deny millions of student loan borrowers the critical relief they so desperately need. We should be in the business of helping Americans saddled with student loan debt, not making their problem worse, as this measure would clearly do.
Think about this. They haven't had to pay any college loan for 3 years.
Right.
None of it.
Right.
And the Republicans are making their life worse by not having people who did not sign the contract to take the money out pay it instead of the people that actually took out the college loan.
No, this is the pathology of dependency. Once you start a benefit, right, you can't roll it back because, now you're inflicting pain. That's what the liberals will try and tell you. Now you're making it hard on people. They're the ones who took the loan out. This isn't something that happened to them. It wasn't an accident.
It wasn't a natural disaster.
And it wasn't fraud. And if you believe it was, you have a number of ways to solve that if you believe that there is fraud involved with your student loan.
Because what separates student loan debt from any other debt?
No, I thought about that when we were talking about the other day that personal debt was rising.
Yeah.
And it'll only be a matter of time when people say, listen, and Schumer, Biden, listen, the debt is, everyone's personal debt is so bad because we said, well, then why wouldn't you write a $10,000 or $20,000 check for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's my question. They start promoting that. Of course, you can't do that. You can't afford to do that.
Well, no.
Because you would have to actually write people checks. So my question is, where would the polling be on that? Would you support it if everybody got the $10,000 or $20,000 benefit?
Yeah. I'd like that.
I would love to see the poll.
Be done.
Yeah, I would love to see the poll.
Should everyone get $20,000
right
to pay off their debt? Because all debt, what Schumer is stating is that expecting people to pay off this debt is immoral. And it's moral for people who did not, because he starts it out with the lie to begin with. Student loan debt cancellation.
Yeah.
It's not canceled, it's transferred.
Right.
It's transferred to people that did not take out the loan, the general taxpayer, to pay for it.
Yeah, once
And-
again, they have to lie.
Right.
On all of their items that they're promoting, they have to lie.
And even further, because this has not been budgeted, this goes straight to debt.
Yep.
Which means your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren will be paying your student loan debt. And that is viewed as a higher morality to a Chuck Schumer. And Chuck Schumer believes that if you are expected after a 3-year pause, and by the way, I know they voted to end the pause, but the president voted to end the pause. So is he immoral? I mean, but for 3 years, they have not had to pay off their student loans.
Right.
It's cost, close to $200 billion to the American taxpayer for that.
We're the bank.
Yeah.
There's not some magic bank on Capitol Hill or at the White House.
And we've always stated by stating forgiveness or cancellation, that's the big lie from the Democrats. It's not. Be intellectually honest. If you're going to say, I am for student loan debt transfer from the people who took out and signed the contract to people who had nothing to do with taking out the contract. Our morality is whether you are in trouble or not, that your debt load should be relieved by other taxpayers from debt that you took out voluntarily. Sell it that way. Have the guts to sell the truth, Chuck Schumer.
Yeah.
Have the guts to sell the truth. If you're going to do it, don't lie about it. As we said, goes back right to the old, Seinfeld. Well, if we say, hey, we're just writing it off, it's just we're just canceling it. It's
write it off.
Government's forgiving it. I mean, it doesn't. No, there's no forgiveness. You're transferring it.
Yep.
Because there certainly is no forgiveness to the rest of the taxpayers that would have to pay it off.
Right.
You're not forgiving them. You're adding debt to the rest of the taxpayers. Oh, okay, we're going to forgive you, but we're not going to forgive them. They're going to have to pay it. Hey, what do we call it? We call it forgiveness or cancellation when we take the debt off of you. What do we call it when we put debt that you didn't take out and mandate by the IRS that you must pay the debt of somebody else? It's not voluntarily. It's not a voluntary thing where you get to say, well, okay, I'll choose to pay off their debt. You have to pay off their debt.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is that one Democrat tell me how that is a higher morality? It's not.
No. To the Democrats, it's the responsible thing to do. And think about this. Personal debt is skyrocketing as a result of inflation, as a result of spending beyond our means.
Right. That's more.
If this is the way it should be done, if we were actually morally responsible, fiscally speaking, as a nation, Congress wants to spend, your representative has to come to your door and collect the money every time. Let's see how that works out. It's like the old idea that's been around that we've talked about a number of times. Okay, your employer doesn't take the taxes out. You pay the taxes, and they come to your door to collect the taxes every payday. Right. We would have a much smaller government if that were the case. We would also have a lot of people who aren't home.
Or if you're required that you just pay it by whatever you owe, you have to send a check to the IRS.
Yep.
Every payday.
Every payday.
And that you say that electronic transfer come out every single
day. No, I mean, there's one way to do it in the modern age, that your gross goes into the bank, and then immediately after, your bank account is debited for your taxes. What the heck is that? And those are the things that we talk about. Responsibility, true responsibility. It is highly immoral to run this national debt as high as it has gotten, and we are beyond the turning point.
Why is it moral? These are the things that these are the actual, I guess, the actual discussions of morality of a society. Why is it moral to transfer student debt to a Democrat and at the same time moral to put everything that we want today on our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren? Why is that liberal mindset a moral mindset? Can a Democrat answer that?
Well, look.
Can a liberal answer that?
Yeah, you just had Democrats screaming, we have to raise the debt ceiling because it is irresponsible to not pay our bills. We always pay our bills.
Right. And at the same time.
And we were all screaming, hello, college loans.
Right. That's
in
when,
the same week, they're making the case now that it's responsible not to pay your debt.
Well, remember Karine Jean-Pierre up there saying, well, you people need to pay their mortgages. You need to pay. Well, what about college loans?
Right.
I mean, there's so many things to discuss here. I mean, but I just love how they pick college loans. What about mortgages?
Right.
Why not mortgage forgiveness?
Right.
Why not mortgage transfer? Why not credit card transfer? A lot of people are using their credit cards right now because they're desperate.
Right.
Because of inflation. You can always, a part of every debt that exists today, I know, I was a bill collector. People are using because of an act of desperation.
Yes.
Should all desperation debt be transferred to people who didn't take out the debt?
Right.
Because all debt has a significant portion of that pie that people are using because they have no other choice. Should all that debt be forgiven, and who makes that decision?
Right. They just write it off.
Yeah, the old Seinfeld. Just write it off.
Just write it off.
You don't even know what write it off means.
I know, but they do, and that's why they just write it off. I love that episode. There are so many great lessons that came from that one episode. If you take it, does anyone at any of these universities, here's the thing, we always make fun of the silly courses they have at universities. The lessons of Seinfeld. Right?
Yeah.
Apply it. Remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
Well, as I said at the bottom of the hour, you and I were talking, I said, the morality doesn't even fit civil law.
No.
Because what they're saying is, this is a hardship and we didn't get the job that we wanted. And remember, Bernie Sanders started all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And see, this is really the only thing that came out of Wall Street. What was it called? Not Operation Wall Street. I can't think of it.
Occupy.
Occupy. The
Wall Street,
only thing that came out of Occupy, the only thing that really stuck was that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, was the whole college. And we said, well, then why are you blaming the bank? The bank just loaned you the money. It's the liberal college's fault. For the most part, they're all liberal. The vast majority of colleges are liberal colleges. Liberal colleges didn't deliver to you. It's more likely civil law would apply that the colleges didn't fulfill their contract, and that's who should be responsible, and their billions of dollars of endowments.
Yeah.
But why should some other schlemiel have to pay your debt?
Yeah. Right.
Once you break it down, you can't defend it.
Right. No, I mean, it's the same thing. I remember the man on the street reporter at Walmart. You believe that Walmart employees should be getting more money? Well, yeah. Okay, we're taking up a collection right now. You want to pitch in to give the employees more money? Well, no.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up following the top of the hour, it's June, and I'm sure you know it because it's everywhere. It's Pride Month. one of the best articles written about Pride Month and what's going on right now with the LGBTQ from one of the most prominent and long-term gay activist and op-ed piece in the New York Post that basically mirrors everything that we have said over the years.
Yeah.
Everything almost to the T.
Yeah.
And that's the point that we're making, that this whole thing with the T taking over the LGBTQ, there are a lot, as we have stated, because we've heard from them that are afraid to speak, that say, this is ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. And the pushback is getting bigger.
Yep.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA and around the world, we are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley.
Hello.
Download our Red Eye Radio app today and listen when and where you want. Well, I saw this op-ed piece in the New York Post yesterday. Headline, I fought for gay rights, but trans activists have destroyed the meaning of pride. Bruce Bauer, who's very well known in the gay community. He was probably one of the first people that came out. By the way, he doesn't like the term gay community either. He says, but he's one of the first that came out, gay activists, because he's known as one of the premier gay activists of all time. And he was one of the first to come out to push gay marriage way back when.
Yeah.
And what he writes mirrors almost, in some places, word for word, what we have stated before about the entire Pride movement. I said it way back in the 90s. I said, you know, the whole Pride movement, whether it's, remember, Black Pride, White Pride, Gay Pride, is all bogus.
Yeah, right.
You can't be proud of what you are. You're proud of what you accomplish.
The things you do, your behavior.
The things you do, right. He makes the exact same point here. But I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs of it. It's worth doing it because it's important to understand that it is I believe, a small minority that's pushing this. As so many things on the left are. Now, understand that small minority includes the mainstream of the Democratic Party. I'm old enough to have been active in, this is from the op-ed piece, I'm old enough to have been active in gay rights when you could be arrested in some American jurisdictions for a kiss. Back then, a rainbow flag outside of a bar or another establishment meant you could walk in without being kicked out or worse. Flying it was a risk and an act of humanity. Then gay rights emerged and pride marches. Earnest demonstrations for equality morphed into pride parades, which are silly displays. Pride Month was born complete with corporate sponsors. These sponsorships were calculated acts predicated on the determination that companies involved would win more gay customers than lose anti-gay customers. The rainbow flag became just another logo. For my part, I wish pride would go away. We've won equality. Why should gays continue to be singled out, even for the purpose of being celebrated? And for what are we being celebrated, and for what are we being celebrated anyway? I don't expect to be applauded for being left-handed. Being gay is an attribute, not an accomplishment. Then there's this. Pride Month isn't just about gays anymore. It's about the whole LGBTQ plus crowd, a community in quotes most gays never asked to join and whose guiding ideology makes most of us scratch our heads in confusion. Indeed, we're in an odd position of seeing what used to be our movement co-opted by activists. That's almost a quote from what we have said this week. Instead, we're in the odd position of seeing what used to be our movement co-opted by activists whose wacky theories about the nature of gender render such labels as male and female, gay and straight, utterly meaningless. And who's thrilled by this development? Not many people, gay or straight. But some of our biggest corporations are in. Last year, the New York Post reported on a Disney executive who vowed to make at least half of the characters in the company's productions LGBTQIA and racial minorities by year's end. A few weeks ago, Anheuser-Busch paid Dylan Mulvaney, a man who says he's a little girl, to promote Bud Light. And most recently, Target marketed chest binders and other trans-related items to small children. To be sure, it only makes sense for an entertainment monolith like Disney to adjust its programming to reflect social change, and firms like Anheuser-Busch have always tried to appeal to specific demographic groups. The problem with these arguments is that America hasn't gone woke. Americans don't believe boys can be girls. That's why Disney and Target are losing money. It's why the mass rejection of Bud Light is perhaps the most successful boycott ever. It's become clear where Americans stand on this nonsense. Why then are major firms, the kind that years ago were reluctant to dip their toes too early into the still chilly waters of the gay rights movement, pushing this creepy new stuff so eagerly? The answer is young, expensively educated marketing executives who live in a bubble of class and generation. At their fancy colleges, they've learned there's a spectrum of genders unrelated to biological sex. Then they learned it's cool to be queer, which has nothing to do with being gay, but means rather that one's identity is in some way in tension with mainstream norms. Think of it this way. If one's sexual orientation is fixed and permanent, queerness is ever fluid and almost always performative, as illustrated perfectly by Dylan Mulvaney, a self-dramatizing narcissist whose latest move was to assert that he's attracted to women. Trans, queer, woke, it's all part of the same ideological grab bag, along with the weird new determination to expose kids to drag queens, and in parentheses, a tiny subset of gay people who have no more business practicing their craft in front of minors than hookers or morticians. And all of it driven as if by a radical rejection of objective truth. Truth is a threat to everything we refer to when we speak of civilization. It's being pushed relentlessly by groups like Human Rights Campaign, a gay rights organization turned avid promoter of transgenderism. And as presidential hopeful Ramaswamy has noted, by giant investment bankers like BlackRock and Vanguard Group that, for whatever reason, are devoutly committed to the woke agenda. What can you do about it? If you're a loyal Anheuser-Busch customer, find another beer to drink. Drop Target. If your asset manager is more interested in pushing wokeness and in maximizing your profits, find another one. Most important, when you terminate business relationships because of their advocacy, make your reason clear. If enough consumers go this route, we may yet keep this insanity from taking over America. That's Bruce Bauer, well-known author and one of the longest modern-day gay activists in American history. And again, as you know, if you've heard us talk about all of this for the longest time, he mirrors so many of the points that we have made on the show. And the warnings that with the liberal, radical transgender activist movement what we have been warning for over 15 years. We warned two things. It would destroy feminism, and they would co-opt the gay movement, even the liberal gay movement in this country, where
Right.
they would shut out, where they basically would shut out gays. And I think one of the great points he brings out here is basically by what they're saying, and this is what, and I wrote this when I got a survey from the NHL because in the past the National Hockey League, and I told them, I said, you don't even understand. You apparently don't even understand what you are promoting. You know, and
right.
we talked about the entire misogyny of it and everything else. But what they it was the point here where he talked about the okay, there it is. Pride Month isn't just about gays anymore. It's about the whole LGBTQI plus crowd, a community most gays never asked to join and whose guiding ideology makes us scratch our heads in confusion. Indeed, we're in an opposition of seeing what used to be our movement co-opted by activists whose wacky theories about nature of gender render such labels as male and female, gay and straight utterly meaningless, meaning that this movement actually is, as we have said, wants women to disappear, want females to disappear. You know, those labels want gay and straight to disappear.
Yeah.
And yet, officially, the liberal gay movements have endorsed it. It's almost like the same thing liberal feminism is doing, destroying the feminist movement in this country by allowing it to happen. It's the most insane thing because it's destroying all the labels, and I'm so glad that he wrote this article. I'm so glad that he wrote this.
We have heard from gays and even transgenders outside of the activism that
Yes, we
say,
have.
look, we just want to live our life. We don't believe that transgender females, being a biological male, should be competing with females on teams. That should not be the case. The activism is what takes it. And it's a lot of people who take up the cause that aren't even part of the group.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Which is often the case on the left.
That's a great point.
That's how you end up with white girls screaming at a black cop, you are going against your race.
Or Joy Behar saying that Tim Scott doesn't understand the black experience last week.
Right. I mean, that's how insane they are.
I know. It's
at that point, I wouldn't have been able to quit laughing. Y'all are going to have to go to a break because that's the funniest. That may be the only funny thing Joy Behar has ever said. It is the left. It defines it.
There's 2 days ago, Tim Scott blast Joy Behar over claim he doesn't get racism.
Right. Yeah. No, but this is who they are.
Included Clarence Thomas in there too. By the way,
if you are black and a conservative or libertarian or anything but Democrat, then you don't get it. You don't understand. If you're a black cop, you're not really black. You're blue.
Right.
Remember where they started on that? At first, they were saying, well, listen, what we need to do is segregate police.
Yeah.
We need to have only black cops patrolling black neighborhoods.
Segregate college, segregate police.
Well, they knew they couldn't get away with that. So it instantly went to, oh, no. We know what we're doing now. If you're a black cop, you're not black, you're blue. That you have abandoned your race. The white girl screaming at you is telling you that. So it must be true, right?
Yeah, and the one thing that both you and I have heard, from some of our gay listeners is the fact that, how afraid they are to come out and say what that author did.
Right.
That gay activist author.
Right. Oh no,
They're afraid. They're afraid to say this. So you think that normal people are attacked. Straight people are attacked.
right.
The average person out there. He goes, be gay and see how it is.
Well, what's interesting is the Babylon Bee, who is very funny. They're if you read any of their postings, they actually and by the way, a lot of truth in what they write. Businesses are avoiding the activist gangs by painting rainbows on the outside of the buildings. Remember during the riots?
Yeah.
People were saying, no, we support Black Lives Matter on the buildings.
Right.
Don't burn down our building, please. And now they're painting rainbows on because the activists will come after you. The mob mentality is very much alive on the left. We will shame you. And this is what they're doing with corporations.
Yeah. All a play on the Passover.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and this is for them at the Babylon Bee. But it is also part of the what was going on with the riots in Portland. No. We agree with you. Don't burn down our building. Don't come after us. We're going to put the rainbow flag up. No. We support you. If you're part of the gay community and you're saying, and you believe that men shouldn't be competing with women, say that out loud and put that on your social media and see how bad it gets.
Yeah. So great article.
Yeah, this is where we are. And I'm glad that people are willing to stand up against the mob mentality and say, this is ridiculous.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Managing time is key. Successful owner-operators know that simply running hard is not enough. If it were that easy, anyone could do the job and expect the profits to roll in. It generally pays to slow down. There is a trade-off in higher costs, not to mention the increased risk for driving fast. If driving slower takes time away from you, you could find some of the ways to get it back. Never take time off during the last 2 weeks of the quarter or the last week of the month, when freight typically is abundant. Sometimes it works to your advantage to look for loads that take you through home rather than to home. The latter can interrupt your revenue stream and require additional time to get back up to full speed again. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Shell Rotella with advanced synthetic technology. Also, for more information, go to overdriveonline.com to the Overdrive's Partners in Business section of the website for more detail on Business 101 and many other topics.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. Yeah, I'd mentioned that Joy Behar saying that Tim Scott doesn't get it when it comes to racism. He said, he goes, there's no doubt a white lady dressing up in blackface to give a black man advice probably doesn't ring true. That was part of a statement that he made. Here's more of it. Here we go. I think I have it here. Do I have it? Okay. For some reason, it's not playing.
All right.
My computer. Okay. Let's see if no, this isn't going to work either.
All right.
Well, yes. Let's try.
There's no doubt a white lady dressing up in blackface, giving a black man advice, probably doesn't ring true in anyone's mind. Certainly not my own. But more importantly, I find it offensive and disgusting and dangerous for a very different reason. I'm used to having the left attack me because the truth of my life disproves their lies. And I say that because of this. When I helped write the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, they called me a prop. When I started talking about refunding the police, they called me a token. When I stepped forward and pushed back on President Biden's malign agenda, they called me the N-word. I'm used to it. Here's what is dangerous and offensive to me. for every young child in America wanting to think for themselves, draw their own conclusions, what they're saying to them is stay in your place. Do not stick your head up, because we're going to tell you how to think so you never learn anything about what you should think.
Yeah.
It is literally the dumbest, most offensive thing I've ever witnessed on TV to hear these millionaire TV personalities telling me how to live my life as a.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we said before, it's the identity politics, which is racism, which is bluntly promoted by the Democratic Party.
And the point he makes, he is spot on. What it teaches the younger generation. Wow.
Five hours a night, and still not enough. Listen to our podcast, available on the app and on our website, redhiradioshow.com.
It's Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Carly. I don't want to finish talking about the whole Tim Scott response, Senator Scott, to Joy Behar, saying that he doesn't get what it's like being black and racism. Wow. And it is and you were making some great points, because Tim Scott was saying that, for young people out there, I mean, what example is being set? And this is by the Democrats when he talks about, who has called him a token and a Tom or a Tim. I guess he's
they call him
Tim.
Instead of Uncle Tom, they call him Uncle Tim. I mean, it has been so blatantly racist. Everything that has been thrown at him. Clarence Thomas over the years, and so many things. And we've seen it over and over again with black conservatives. But the point that he makes is so important about why it was so offensive to him, because of what it teaches the younger generation. And I thought, during the break, I was telling you, it really, if you think about the mind of a child, as they start to learn about the behavior, any social skills whatsoever, how we behave when we're with other people, they only want to fit in. And so the mob mentality that is very much alive on the left is especially dangerous. It is the critical part. It is the enforcement part of their entire agenda and indoctrination. It is the enforcement of the indoctrination. Because if you step out of line, we'll come after you. Well, kids are at an awkward age as soon as they start learning social skills. Everything in that setting is awkward for them. They're trying to learn their place, and all they want is acceptance. So the more they see, whether it's in pop culture or anywhere else, the more they see that mob mentality, the more they think, well, I want to be accepted, so I'm going to say this and I'm going to behave this way because I don't want to get out of line. And by the way, you can't blame the child for that. You blame the people who are responsible, the adults in the equation, and people like Joy Behar. That is especially dangerous, and Senator Scott is absolutely right on that, and it was a great point, and it's important, I think, to expand on that and what it means. In the mind of a child, they just want to fit in, and when they see things like that, they will compartmentalize very quickly. Well, I better not do that. I better not speak up, or I will be found out.
It's great to be part of a culture based on values. I mean, that's what the United States is. That's what the Constitution is. Mm-hmm. But how do you get towards, as an individual, analyzing, whether you like, and this is what we do as young people becoming adults, you say to yourself, okay, what am I in? Eventually, you're going to analyze it in some way, unless you feel so intimidated to be part of the groupthink that you don't allow yourself to ever go there. But when you live, it is so important that parents, schools teach critical thinking and autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
I love it because in the past, it's been, thrown at conservatives that, and I haven't heard it in a while, but, the false patriotism.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm a patriot just because I'm a Bubba and flag, apple pie, Chevrolet, and beer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess you can take beer out of there now, can't you? And
you can have beer, just not that beer.
as if it's just a Bubba or Bubette cultural thing that has, no specific critical thinking behind it. The left has always thrown that out, which is anything but the truth. That's why, if you've been a long time listener to the show, is why we break down the Constitution and what it's all about. And when we start talking about racism, the only way that the left can succeed in promoting critical race theory and identity politics, because critical race theory, don't think critical race theory is identity politics. It's all identity politics. You judge people by groups and not as an individual. The only way you get there, I think, in the public forum is by intimidation and brainwashing at a young age.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think of all my dealings today with just going to the store, my golf lesson with my golf teacher, who's black.
Mm-hmm.
None of our, yes, I do notice his skin color and the fact that he is a man. For anybody who might be upset about it, I don't judge him by that. I judge him by, I pay him money for golf lessons. Yeah. I pay him because he has great character and is a great teacher.
Yeah.
And the results are my great golf game. I got it in. I was able to get in my golf lesson. I was able to slide it in as part of legitimate conversation.
When have you not been able to slide it in?
Well, I was running out of ways. So,
well,
but
I think you found a new one, I guess.
I found another way. But everybody that I deal with, hey, I come from, if anybody's ever seen the pictures of my immediate family, it's quite multicultural, as is yours.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares.
No.
Nobody cares. We don't care. I expect that everyone that I know and everybody I meet, my expectation is that I view them as an autonomous being. I judge them by their character and the things that they do, their behavior, their character, the things that they say, their critical thinking skills. That's how I judge. And I think most people do. I think that's a natural instinct. You judge people as you judge somebody who you meet as a completely separate individual of somebody else. You don't care about their eye color. You don't care about their skin color. You don't care about the size of their feet. You care about them as individuals. It's an individual back and forth relationship. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's you share with that other person what you are about. And they don't represent anything more to me than themselves as an individual. If we have shared values, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't, I want to know why.
Yeah, right.
I'm very inquisitive. I hope that didn't come across as, accusatory. I want to know why you think that way. I generally want to know why. There's a natural curiosity that I have, not an anger. Well, why do you think that way? Well, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that?
And then you get angry.
And then I go, get out of my life and never come back again. Get out.
Gary, you're in my house. I don't care. Get out.
And so I believe that the vast majority of people, that's almost instinctual as a human being. That's how you do it. And so I think that you have to be brainwashed or intimidated, and that's the problem that I think so many of us have, and that's the problem that, as we see, Representative Tim Scott has.
Yeah.
The fact is, autonomy.
Right.
You are an autonomous being.
Right.
You are a critical thinker.
Right.
You're the one that comes up with your thoughts. You're the one that analyzes, and you don't do it from a broad spectrum of a physical characteristic that predetermines what your opinion is going to be. That is absolutely as racist as you can get, and it is I'll say it again, the mainstream of the Democratic Party in the United States.
Look, Joy Behar proudly said that on a national television broadcast.
Yep.
This isn't something that was caught on a hot mic. This isn't something she said to a friend and they recorded it secretly. And where's the big backlash from ABC? Where's the apology? Listen, we're very sorry. You're not going to get it. It ain't going to happen. And if it does, it's not a true apology.
No.
Where are the sponsors saying, you know what? We don't appreciate that kind of behavior, that kind of mindset. Then we're gone.
You and I always go back, and you had mentioned it before, but it was just so, you were just shaking your head, and it was during the summer of 2020 where the two white women are screaming at the black cop.
Yeah. You've abandoned your race. Yeah. You've betrayed your race.
Yeah.
The white girls screaming at the black cop.
Yeah, the imagery of the two white women screaming at the black police officer because the black police officer is in a job that they view as racist, which is law enforcement.
Right.
And the fact that he's black, he can't believe in law enforcement.
Right.
I mean, that is so racist. Oh, so would you have been happy? Oh, all right. Oh, that's right. A black police officer, you can't have that. You're supposed to be a criminal.
Something is wrong with you,
yes, exactly.
Or somebody is controlling you.
Right.
For decades, the left has been behaving this way and proudly promoting that they behave this way. And there is zero pushback from the mainstream corporations or anyone else.
Yeah.
People just turn their head and walk away. It absolutely is disgusting. And Senator Scott was right to point out that audio you heard earlier, I think, is so important about what he said. Because at a young age, as kids are trying to fit in, they're working on those social skills in an age where so much is being thrown at them 24/7. There is so much mental stimulation and messaging going on. It's insane. And all they want to do is fit in. And what this teaches them is you better not speak up. Even if you have a question. Remember, a question about any of this is also violence. Silence is violence. Questioning is violence. In other words, you better comply. That's what you're telling children.
And we've got
and you put the fear in them, and that's exactly what the left is doing.
And we've gotten to the point of wanting to be your own man and woman and be autonomous and be a critical thinker where you believe I have acquired the knowledge and I do have the critical thinking skills to make judgments on my own is viewed as racist by the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. Coming up here, one of the most bizarre things, just to show you how great the delusion is from the left. I'll give you a little hint. We'll play the audio coming up. But Jen Psaki on MSNBC said Republicans are comfortable with Biden because he's an old white man. I mean, they're throwing the identity politics in it that since he's an old white man, and Republicans like old white man, that Republicans are comfortable with Biden because he's an old white man. Now, how many things are wrong with that statement? Everything?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, everything. I mean, it's absolutely delusional. And that was said by Jen Psaki. I'm like, are they running out of things to say so they don't even know? I wonder in the middle of her saying that if she knew how ridiculous it was.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Do you know any Republican who has ever been comfortable with Joe Biden as president of the United States?
Aside from Mitt Romney?
No, he's been very critical. He's been critical of him.
Yeah, but he's pretty comfortable. Liz Cheney. Yeah, I mean, there is a list, but not because
he's an old white man.
Yeah, that's the idea. Conservatives are okay with him because he's an old white man.
I was speaking of the voter, not of politicians who hated Trump.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA and around the world, we are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today and listen when and where you want, if you can't listen live overnight. Welcome to the Friday.
It is Friday, and we're into the full summer thing. You realize coming up here in a few weeks, days will actually start getting shorter.
Yeah. By what, the 21st, 22nd? It starts reversing, right?
First day of summer is the longest, and then it starts making the turn. It's only a few seconds a day. Then it starts ramping up. It's happening so fast, and this is the way it works. When you get older, it happens faster. Because when you're 4 years old, 1 year is 25% of your life. When you're 50 years old, 1 year is, you do the math. I'm not going to do the math on that. So the whole idea, it's 2%. The whole idea is.
I thought you were just taking a shot at me.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Oh, that's what I thought.
It must be flying by for you. Your calendar pages over there, there's not even a breeze on them, and they're just moving. So, on their own, it seems like. So, I think it used to be, all right, you kind of brace yourself, I'm a Texan. So, hot summer, here it goes. And I love the warm weather now, and it's like, oh, man. Here in a few months, we're going to be getting into the fall months. I mean, it will only get into the mid-90s in the fall.
Yeah, I've really, the last couple of weeks, because the transition, when you have cold and hot, it's like, oh, it's going to be hot. But once it gets hot, and it's really not hot yet. It's roughly around 90.
Yeah.
What, 89, 90. And
Yeah.
that's for, in Buffalo, be like, oh, my God, heat wave. It's like,
Yeah, I was watching this couple on Alaska on YouTube. They live in Alaska, and they said it's 68 degrees. It is so warm today. It's really hot. They were outside working, and I was like, no, it ain't.
yeah. But I just, right now, I'm like, okay, I want it to be hot for quite a long time now.
Yeah.
And then by the time we go through the August heat wave, and we haven't had, it's been a couple of years since we've had like 110.
No, but last year we had a long succession of 98, 100-degree, and it started early.
Yeah, it did.
It started about this time or earlier, and just it's like we ramped up and went to summer.
Oh, remember, it was April of 2022. Remember when ERCOT put out the notice?
Yeah.
Of we may not have enough electricity. It's like, it's April, but it was like a 90-degree day in April. Well, we got a lot of stuff shut down. It's only April. We're not ready for the heat yet. I remember when I was a kid, and our summer would not begin because a lot of kids now in Texas out of school. In New York, you don't finish till the middle of June, usually like June. I graduated from high school. I didn't know this except when it's the year of your 50th reunion, from everything I get, the details of, people talking about on the alumni site of my high school is like, okay, folks, get a life.
That was it. Is it an actual sock hop?
No, but I graduated June 24th of 1973 is when I graduated from high school. And that's how long, we went to school. And so it was my point was not to talk about how old I am.
Oh, that was my point, totally.
But how short really summer was, the summer vacation, because we would go just the end of June, then July, August, and then Labor Day, day after Labor Day is when you go back to school again. Now, it's different here in Texas, but that's the way it was.
Yeah.
Those 2 months seemed like 10 years to me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It seemed like, and it was so great. And when we had to go back, because I hated school. I don't think I was ever a fan of school, even in college, because I did the work. I've said this before. Part of me wishes I could go back and really focus on some of those courses that I just, did ho-hum in, because I'm really interested in them now. Geology is one of them. Remember taking geology in college, and I was like,
yeah, the older I get,
bare minimum.
The more, the older I get, the more I'm interested in biology. What's this pill do?
Well, that's true. Chemistry is really important now, too.
Yeah.
Chemistry.
Yeah.
All right, what does this metformin do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does it lower my blood sugar?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Why am I so sleepy? Yeah.
So what the blood pressure pills do is they actually soften your arteries, and therefore how does it do that?
Yeah.
Should I be more uncomfortable with that?
What do the instructions say about taking 19 ibuprofen? I'm guessing that's probably frowned upon.
And let me see. Can I have those 19 with a couple of beers?
Yeah.
It's one thing you do a lot more at this age. You read a lot more labels and a lot more warnings on the labels.
Well, and they're all getting smaller.
Oh, I know.
Seriously, that's some weird practical joke. And it needs to stop now. It needs to stop now.
I was doing that yesterday.
The more important the bottle, the more important the ingredients in the bottle, the smaller the print.
Even with my reading glasses, The app I use the most on my phone is the Zoom app. I
Right.
got around all the time. All right, I need to read a label. Where's my phone? I need the Zoom app.
Well, it's like, and I saw, take on an empty stomach, and I'm like, okay, great, perfect, perfect timing. And then, oh, my fat thumb was over it. Do not take on an empty stomach. Dang it. No, it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a practical joke. I think it's a conspiracy.
But yeah, that summer was so long for me, and I just remember that's the greatest thing about being an adult for me, and it's been this way especially this way since I've been on Red Eye, because this is the most fun I've ever had.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why, I get this from people when I tell them, and people write me, well, you're going to retire soon? I have this. I have no plans on retiring.
Yeah.
I'm having too much fun.
Yeah.
And people, what do you mean? You mean, don't you want to travel? No, I'd rather do this. Oh, would I like to travel? Yeah. I can't do everything, but I want to do this.
Right.
But don't you sit in a little studio and just talk overnights? Yeah, it's great. I love doing this, but the best thing about where I am right now, this is really the best thing about my life, is, and even in the broadcasting business before, and you know this because we've discussed this, we might have discussed it even on the air, that there's no difference for me going on vacation and or coming back to work. There is no, oh, thank God. Now, I will say that when vacation comes, it's like, oh, good, I get to do some other stuff and maybe golf for a couple of days or do whatever. But there is no, like, yes, it's vacation. Oh, work has been so, and there's nothing when it starts getting to Friday, Saturday of the week that my vacation is ending and I have to come back to work where it's like, oh, geez, I got to go back to work and this and that and that. It's just level the whole thing. It's like, oh, vacation. Oh, cool. I can do a couple things. All right, back to work again. All right. That's the best thing of my life. It really is. That wasn't there before. There's a lot of great things. Because people say, what about your dad? I'm talking about things that weren't there in my life maybe 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Even from a kid where those up and downs of going, summer vacation or Christmas vacation, then having to go back, those were actually, for me, they were emotional nightmares. I did not want to go back to school.
Yeah, right.
I was much like Peter on Office Space as a child.
Yeah.
I would, what would you do if you had $1 million? I would do nothing.
Yeah.
I'd sit on my posterior and I would do nothing. I remember as a kid just laying on the grass and looking at the clouds. It was a great, this is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting this year because I'm going to go to the 50th anniversary. The first night.
Yeah.
Why? They're having it at a restaurant in a golf dome. The second night is a formal night, and I have my family reunion coming up that weekend, so I'm only going to one night and see some old friends and probably hit a couple of golf balls. That's the informal thing, just at a bar, and I'll be able to see the women that that in my high school years I wasted a lot of time lusting over. That are
yeah, that'll be good. Go to the early bird together. Check it out. Watch some Matlock.
I was a little upset that it's starting at 7.
Yeah. Woo!
It goes
I
till
hope you
10.
mean a.m.
No, it starts at 7, goes till 10.
Oh. Are they going to have any napping stations? 7?
Actually,
is it a pajama party? Is it a sleepover?
Actually, I have like a 12:45 flight that takes off. I get in about 5. So
yeah.
I actually talked to I bought my brother for his birthday this year a set of golf clubs.
Oh,
and he's like, "What's the catch?" I get to use them when I come in town.
Yeah, basically, I just want you to watch my golf clubs while I'm not in town.
Watching my golf clubs.
Yeah, that's how it really is.
The thing is, he was okay with that.
Yeah,
but he even said, he goes, "Well," he said, "You're at the golf dome." He said, yeah. He said, well, you get in like 5, right? It's 7 there, so you still have time to rent your car, come by, pick up the golf clubs, and then you can go to your 50th reunion, hit some golf balls, and then actually go to the reunion.
Yeah. We're planning a reunion. We have our a guys-only reunion called Los Guys that we've been doing for years. Some friends of mine that I grew up with going back to Del Rio. And this year, we're sending out a special invitation to the soon-to-be retiring Chief of the Border Patrol, Raul Ortiz, who we believe he's part of the Los Guys group. He just hasn't been able to make the big reunions. And because he's busy
at the border,
controlling the nation's borders, whatever, dude, go ahead, make another excuse. And and so we're sending out the invitation. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it or not. I mean, I suspect he's actually going to be. He might be busier after he retires. But yeah, that's the reunion I look forward to every year. We haven't done it yet. Normally in the spring, and we're thinking the fall this year instead. We didn't get it done in the spring, so we're thinking the fall is going to be a good time to get it done. And it's the older we get, the slower we are. You know, I mean, as we because when this started years ago. Oh, man, we're going to do this every year. This is great. And now it's like, oh, man, what medication? Did anybody bring any antacid? Anybody got any cholesterol med? I left mine at home. Yeah, so but it's a lot of fun. It's a ton of fun. I haven't gone to but 1 or 2 official reunions, class reunions. I don't even get the invites.
If Facebook was not around, I probably would have never gone because I didn't. I went to my 40th because I hooked up with, some of the people that I knew in high school, and it was my buddy Doug who said, "Come on, at least come the first night. You're just stopping by. You don't have to dress up. You just show up and
our 40th would be coming up next year.
Because it's at a bar. Just show up. You don't have to go to the formal thing the next night. And so I've said, okay, I'll show up for the Friday night.
Yeah.
And it's actually good. But thing is, and you're sort of like me too, my good friends that I know, it's great to see. Mm-hmm. But I just
if I didn't know them well in high school, I'm not gonna it's interesting hearing their story, but now that we have Facebook, do you need a reunion?
Plus, I think, and I'm guessing you're sort of the same with me, there are a lot of people that are like, high school days were the best days of my life. And they talk about it all the time about, and I'm like, really?
And they just kind of live in that place.
They live in that place, and I don't live in that place. I don't. Yeah. I've never lived in the past. And I know
it's
you
funny.
Don't
I was thinking about that with music the other day, and there are so many folks that do that. But also, you'll find that if you follow them on social media, they kind of live in that era from wherever that music was. They kind of stay there.
Yeah.
They kind of, man, that was the greatest. Well, it was a great time, but man, I love today. I love the present.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
I love the present.
I love the present.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Hurley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, let me play this audio. This comes from MSNBC yesterday, all right?
All right.
I don't even have to preface this. I'm just going to play it. All right, here we go.
All right.
This is Joy Reid and Jen Psaki. Here we go.
Start with you, ladies first. Jen, I do feel like Biden has this misunderestimated thing, right? Where people assume, he's too old, he doesn't know what he's doing, and then he just keeps delivering. Today he tripped over I guess there was like a sandbag and Twitter and the right are going crazy.
It's currently dominating Fox News primetime.
It's the most important thing in the world. First of all, Donald Trump is 76. He's not exactly young. And, it's the advance team or whoever's fault that they put a sandbag in front of him. I trip in my own house. I mean, it's not easy.
Same.
So what do you think it is about Joe Biden Is he so enraging to the right because he is so normal? What do you think it is about him that drives him nuts?
Well, if you look back, Joy, to 2020, they were trying to figure out how to take him out. They can't make him extreme.
Yeah.
They can't really make him offensive. I mean,
Yeah.
one, he's a white man who's older. So, you know, he is comfortable to many in their base. The many in their base.
Republicans are comfortable with Biden because he's an old white man, is Jen Psaki's analysis.
No, he makes me cringe, and it has nothing to do with his skin color.
Has to do with what he's done as president and what he believes in.
Yep.
That's it.
I have some age-related issues, and does everybody else. By the way, so does most of your party on the left.
Yeah. They make it sound like the age thing is only something that the right is obsessing with. Now, the reason that it was covered was because it was a pretty bad fall. It looked really bad when he fell.
Yeah, it did.
The other thing is we all know he's having cognitive problems, and he has fallen before.
Right.
Nobody's laughing about it.
Right.
It's a concern, and Donald Trump has not at all to say, well, Trump's near his same age. Donald Trump has not at all shown any type of cognitive decline like Biden has.
No. Nope.
And it's about the health of the president, and it's one of the major concerns of the Democrats themselves.
Yes.
But they make it seem like it's only the right who's obsessing over it.
Right. Yeah, no, look, it's their own party.
They're really, I'm telling you, we talk about this, there is no self-awareness. You think, well, Joy Reid we know, but in Jen Psaki, absolutely no self-awareness as to what the truth is in that particular thing. But for Jen Psaki to say Republicans are comfortable with Biden because he's an old white man, that is just so delusional.
Yeah. But this is the racism in their own mind.
Yeah.
That's her own bigotry working there.
Yeah, because she thinks that way.
She thinks that way.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Well, the FBI is preparing to bring the subpoenaed document alleging Joe Biden was involved in a criminal bribery scheme to Capitol Hill Monday for lawmakers to review after House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer threatened to hold the Bureau in contempt of Congress. Now, I don't know if this satisfies it. The FBI said that's what they're going to do, and Raskin and Comer are going to look at it, but I don't know if that means he's going to drop the subpoena, because simply they were going to look at it at FBI headquarters. He's saying he'll bring it to them. I don't think that changes the fact that he wants the actual document.
That's not the directive of the subpoena.
Right.
Unless he decides to drop the subpoena. If Comer decides to drop it, that, I guess, would be on him. And I have seen nowhere, I'm assuming it is going to be a redacted version of the document.
Right. And here's the thing. You had Comer come out the other day and say they know, they know what's in the document.
Yeah.
They know. And so means you must have seen the document or a copy of the document from the whistleblower, and you just want to look at this.
Is this what changed? We asked this, I think, yesterday. But now that the FBI has responded and said, okay, we're going to bring the document to you, to Capitol Hill, it has me wondering still if something changed with Director Wray when they told him, we've seen the document. Maybe not. Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Now, there's a ton of questions to be answered because the document, it is said, is to be from this document usually is used. Now, I don't know if it applies to this one of unverified allegations that come from sources out there, and then they look to investigate it. So the entire thing was, what I would ask is, well, number one, if you've had this for a couple of years, what did you find out in the investigation?
Right.
And have you investigated it?
Right.
And what did you find out? And is the source credible?
Yeah.
And who exactly is the source?
Right.
Now, the one guy, I can't think of his name right now, the guy who's on the run, who claims he is that source,
Right.
that he's the actual informant, and the FBI is coming after him, which is why he left the country. And so when I saw, always red flags go off at that point, going, okay, this is very, very unique. There are circumstances here that you normally don't see.
Right.
And so you start thinking, okay, fine, but the whistleblower, if the whistleblower, this is the point, this is the other point. The whistleblower would look at this, who is a, FBI person, and say, all right, it's been around for a couple of years. I'm coming forward. I'm becoming a whistleblower because I think there's credibility to it. And here's why. Now, we don't know what the whistleblower has actually said.
Right.
What he said to Comer and what he said to Grassley. We don't know what he has said. Really interesting, too. It's a week since the IRS whistleblowers testified. Nothing has leaked out of that at all. Nothing.
No. Well,
And
I would think because the GOP knows you have to preserve the integrity of the whistleblower process.
Well, I'm talking about Democrats.
No,
haven't leaked
I know.
anything.
I know.
Yeah.
But from the GOP standpoint, you wouldn't do that, right? Which is exactly where I'm going. So where would the leaks come from?
The left.
This is where we have seen leaks in defending, especially the liberal media, with all their contacts at any government agency. Why haven't we seen any leaks, a leak, and I mean big stories on something, if you think about it, collectively, the entire whistleblower thing is quite possibly the biggest American presidential scandal in history.
Oh, yeah.
Why haven't we seen one? And it would be a huge story. I mean, they would promote it as a huge story with a leak with their sources and the liberal media saying, this didn't happen. Here are the holes in the story. Here are the holes in the allegation. We haven't seen that, and we normally would see that. If there were something, any kind of shaky ground on this whole thing, you would have seen that play out by now. Because think about what you have in the political landscape. Biden is officially in. Trump is officially in. Chris Christie is officially in.
Oh, my God. The memes yesterday on Twitter about Chris Christie being in. And
Yeah.
someone said, well, he's starting with a 0. He can only go up.
It can only go up. It's only up from here. But DeSantis is in. I mean, the political landscape is shaping up. Where is the leaked, sourced story defending Biden?
Then the next question I would have then is the biggest problem for Biden and the FBI the fact that they have proven this to the point where they could get a criminal charge, or does it match up with what is being said in this document, match up what is already proven, that money has been transferred from, this particular company to here? And then, for example, and as Comer said before, and he's talked about, well, this country, Biden went to this country, and then 2 weeks later, all this money went, or I'm just throwing a hypothetical out. I don't have the time span, but this country, I'm giving just an example. this country and this industry that's very, close to the people who run this country, the Bidens got X millions of dollars that spread throughout the family, and then official U.S. policy came to give them aid just a month later, promoted by the vice president. And so it doesn't give you the actual slam dunk, we can win before a jury, but it does verify that other informants believe the exact same thing, that this money went. And it's the political problem more that it creates rather than the instant criminal indictment of it. And if you then get, the other thing is, once you get this document and you make the document public, the next thing is the FBI, and this is one thing you haven't heard from the FBI. Look, we investigated this. We couldn't find anything. You haven't heard that yet.
Right.
And now they're going to be looking at the document on Monday. Does that mean that the Republicans are going to say, yeah, it does show exactly what we thought it was, and the FBI is still silent? Because that's one of, I think Jonathan Turley talked about it yesterday. The incredible thing is the silence of the FBI.
Yeah.
Because this is a document saying, hey, he committed a bribe.
Right.
Well, then the FBI, if this document was revised in 2020 and they've had it for years, 3 years, well, then they should be able to come out and say, look, we investigated it. We couldn't find anything.
Right. You would want to, and I would think that the AG would want that done too. That you would want to make sure that if there were false allegations going on, and we talked about this from the beginning, where's Merrick Garland? Because Director Wray he's engaged in the back and forth on the document. He's been, but in terms of stepping up to a podium like they would normally do, we want to make sure that everybody is straight here based on the perspective of what we have and what has happened here at the FBI. This didn't happen. We looked into this, and we did not find any wrongdoing. You haven't heard that. You haven't seen the leaked stories in the liberal media defending Joe Biden.
I just want to make sure I got the time frame. The bribery allegations involving Joe Biden and foreign nationals were brought to the Department of Justice as early as 2018.
Yeah.
So you're talking 5 years. And so if this is part of that, and this was, I believe, revised in 2020, then what has the FBI done? That's the next question. What have you done? Is there anything there?
Right.
What have you found? And the other thing is, I'm trying to look at here. Looking for any. I'm looking for the IG, because you've asked this every single day, I think.
Yeah.
It's the first day I asked it, because you're probably going to ask it in the next sentence. But it's really important. Where's the IG on this entire thing? Where's the Department of Justice Inspector General on this entire thing? You had CBS News report that it was the IRS whistleblower. I thought it said IG. The IRS whistleblower speaks DOJ slow walk tax probe said to involve Hunter Biden. But where is the IG on the tax probe? Where is the IG on the bribe probe?
Right.
We haven't heard anything I haven't heard anything as to even, here's what he would be doing at this particular point, and he probably will speak on this coming up when. It's been total silence, as if it's just Comer and Grassley against the FBI and the DOJ.
Right.
And the IG's not a part of it. And we know the IG is a part of the whole whistleblower protocol to begin with.
In fact, there is a time limit in which the IG essentially has to respond, but I believe that's internal. The IG doesn't owe anything at that point to the public on a time limit. But I can't remember if it's 30 days or 90 days or whatever it is. They basically have to acknowledge that the whistleblower claims exist. Not that they're legitimate claims or illegitimate. They have to acknowledge that their office has received it and that this is an ongoing whistleblower case. So where's that?
Yeah.
And where is oversight asking for something from the IG to say, are you working on this?
And where is the defense or you can't understate this because we have dealt with the Democratic Party over the last 6 years. Everything's been leaked that was in their favor.
Right.
Tell me what wasn't leaked. What wasn't leaked that was a lie.
Right.
That was in their favor.
Right.
And you hear nothing here.
Nothing.
Nothing.
No. You add something to it. Why haven't they even tried to make up a lie about it?
Yeah. Which would be
anything in defense,
right? And but that would be a leak that the media would report.
Right,
That nobody,
right. But
you couldn't find anybody and say, okay, you've lied. You go to prison for this. It's simply that type of leak, which is a lie that we dealt with during the Trump administration on a consistent basis.
It's sourced, and so the media puts it out there. But it's some kind of defense, and you haven't seen that.
No. Really interesting where this is going.
Yeah,
really interesting.
It is
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. I'm just wondering, Eric, when, because it looks like the IRS whistleblowers are, ahead of schedule than the Biden bribe whistleblower here at this moment. One wonders, okay, what's the next step? And Republicans really haven't talked about what's the next step after they have testified as the two IRS whistleblowers did. Remember, there was the supervisory whistleblower who's come forward already.
Yeah.
He's public. And then when the Department of Justice came in and removed the investigative team, one of the investigators then became a whistleblower also. So there's two whistleblowers there. Where does that go from here? When will the public start knowing what's going on? When will the whistleblowers testify publicly before the House? How long does it take for the whistleblower protocol? If they've testified to Congress, what's left? What else is needed to justify them as whistleblowers?
Because on something like this,
with the protections they're supposed to get.
It's in part internal, but the idea is that you're exposing it to the public. You're exposing the wrongdoing to the public, and you're trying to do so with the protections granted by the process. And because what I can hear in my mind, what we keep seeing from the DOJ and the FBI brass is that, well, no, we can't divulge this and we can't divulge that. Okay, that's fallen way short. I'm really anxious to see what happens on Capitol Hill with the document, what's going on with the IRS whistleblowers, where that process is, and where is the IG? Where's the GOP asking the IG for something? Are you on this?
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA and around the world, we are Red Eye Radio. Good morning. Welcome to a Friday, June 2nd. Summer for us. We're definitely into big summertime weather right now. Nice heat, all that other stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
It is time for a reparations update.
All right, what do we got?
We've got
what does the tote board say? What amount are we up to?
we're in this one because we have a new direction that the reparation folks are headed to, and this one is now going to the United Nations for $5 million to pay every black American reparations, coming to a total of $200 trillion. Now this is not exactly written. I mean, what they're saying is true, but it sends you in a wrong direction. A Howard University law professor petitioned a United Nations tribunal to pay every black American $5 million in reparations, a proposal that would not need taxpayer approval. Now, the proposal does not need taxpayer approval. All right?
All right.
When I read it, I went, well, that's wrong. Oh, no. They're not saying that the payment would not need taxpayer approval, but that the United Nations Tribunal could say the United States needs to pay every black American $5 million in reparations. That proposal and announcement does not need taxpayer approval. The actual spending of the money, which is, man, everything goes back to the Seinfeld episode. It really does. Everything's going back to Seinfeld.
Yeah.
The rent a car. Sorry, we don't have that. What do you mean you don't have it? I reserved it.
Yeah. you know how to make the reservation.
You know how to take the reservation.
Yeah, take the reservation. You don't know how to keep the reservation.
Keep the reservation, right. And it's the same thing here. The money is the reparations, not the proposal.
Yeah.
On Friday, Justin Hansford, a leading scholar in critical race theory, addressed the UN tribunal in New York City during the Permanent Forum on People of African Descent. The Daily Mail reported the forum will last 4 days, ending today.
Yeah.
And so was joined by other critical race theory proponents, and then finally here's what they say after they give you the impression. Because when they did that, for my first impression was, what do you mean? United Nations can't spend American taxpayer dollars.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. They're saying the proposal that would not need taxpayer approval. Well, I don't care if the proposal would.
Right.
You can propose anything you want.
Right.
They write down there, decisions made by the tribunal are not legally binding.
Yeah.
Well, that's the key. That should have been put in the first sentence.
Yeah, that's an important part.
But if you put that in the first sentence, there's no reason to read on any longer.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, it's just another. It's virtue signaling.
Yeah,
we care more, and so we're going to go to the UN to do something that's never going to be done.
Right.
And we're going to propose the impossible, and if we propose the impossible, then we care more than you do.
Yeah.
But I did the figuring; it would be $200 trillion.
Wow.
Thing is, though, with the inflation that would cause, the $5 million that they that they would get would be a lot less. What kind of, when you think about this, what kind of inflation? Just think about that. Well, you destroy the whole system would crumble. You couldn't find.
Oh no,
the whole system would crumble because nobody would buy that debt. Who's going to?
Yeah, nobody would. That it's not going to.
Right.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen. Yeah. It wouldn't happen. I mean, there is no way to get there.
But remember, the second part of the virtue signaling is that if you propose something that is impossible, but if done, would completely destroy the economy and society, then you care even more.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah. No, look, if you're going to live in a delusional state, why not? We may be to blame.
The higher the delusion, the higher the virtue signaling.
Yeah, there's that. And we also said, listen, if you're going to do it, go big. We said that years ago.
And they did.
And they did. We're sorry. It's not going to happen, and there's no way to make it happen, and there's also no way. The only thing they can do now is start to change the conversation, and here's what they do. Here's ultimately where they take this. You keep it alive, and then you take it to the national stage. They know there's no way to make it happen. All they're looking for is people to oppose it. They're not looking to make it happen. They're looking for a group, that would be any critical thinker that can do math, to oppose it.
Then you become the oppressor, and
then you become the oppressor. See, you don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only thing they want, is to just create opposition to it, whatever it is. But in this case, of course, you can create opposition by just simply doing the math. How do you pay for it? There is no way to pay for it. It's not going to happen. And over again, the left wants to promise the world. Not going to happen. It isn't going to happen. Look, in California, they really do want out of it. The Democrats in power, they want to move away from it. Governor Newsom flinched when he said, "Well, it shouldn't be about the money." It's where you started, man. This whole conversation, this whole new conversation about it, was started by you. You were on the horse with your makeup on, William Wallace. And now you've decided to go home? I know we're talking about freedom, guys, but listen, that's a lot of makeup I got on my face. I'm thinking maybe not today. Maybe another time we go fight for freedom.
You know what that accent reminds me of?
Heat!
No. The birthplace of golf. If you just tuned in.
Great. Now we're going to talk about golf for another 2 hours. This is going to be fun.
If anybody just tuned in right now, I've been trying anyway to get in. I had a real good lesson yesterday, and I'm hitting the ball fantastic, and I'm playing later today. So I've been trying to just sneak it in any way I can.
I'm sorry, I fell asleep. What?
All right, I have another topic.
Okay, what do you got?
You're going to like this one a lot.
Really all right.
Politico. In a world first, Canada will soon print health warning on each individual cigarette. I don't even have to read the rest of the story, do I?
And don't you dare light it on fire. It's a warning because everyone's reading the cigarettes these days.
The labels will feature a rotation of warnings in French and English. You French Canadian in Quebec, we're not forgetting about you. Oh, man.
Avertissement. Pardon.
The labels will feature a rotation of warnings in French and English, like cigarettes damage your organs. Can you fit that? Or would that have to be one of the... Do they still make the long cigarettes? Remember Were they 100s or something?
I don't know.
They used to make 100.
Is that what 100s were? They were
yeah,
longer?
they were longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know.
So cigarettes, like cigarettes damage your organs. Cigarettes cause impotence.
You had me at impotence.
I quit. Oh, no.
I'm out. You know, had they started there.
Well, don't worry. I only smoke after.
Had they started there, cancer, please. Impotence. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Forget about cancer.
Are you serious, dude? This should be illegal. Oh.
I know it's rude. We're doing a national radio show. I apologize for coughing. But
Well, then again.
oh my gosh.
Well, then again, so does The View. And they haven't canceled that yet.
No, they
so
haven't. The
it's not against the
view
law.
causes impotence.
It's not. It's not against the law.
Oh my.
We're all going to hell.
And poison in every puff. Now the problem is the exact problem you and I were talking about before.
Yeah.
They've got to write it so dang little that you'd have to
Yeah.
have your reading glasses and, like me, use the Zoom app on your phone
Yeah.
to read it.
Yeah.
Each warning will appear in bold black text at the butt of each cigarette.
Uh-huh. Well, nothing like having bold text on your butt.
Oh.
My grandmother's dying words. Yeah, that's
This bold step will make health warning messages virtually unavoidable.
you know what? Honestly, this is what I want to see.
Oh.
Warning: smoking may diminish your eyesight and ability to read warnings. But seriously, the impotence thing, that's where they should have started.
Oh.
Yeah.
The regulation will go into effect on August 1st.
Yeah. Why not now?
Okay, so
Why
I
not
guess,
now?
I guess they
Okay.
still have king-size cigarettes with the warning will reach stores by April of 2024. Retailers will carry regular-sized cigarettes with the messaging the following April.
Okay.
So the regulation goes into effect, but it's not going to reach the stores till April of next year.
Right. So the manufacturing level, they have to start doing that now or
Right.
August 1st, and then those cigarettes will. All right, then.
When asked by reporters in Ottawa if there is any evidence that the labels will deter smoking, the health minister said, every possible tool works.
Yeah. Hey, you know what else causes cancer? Added ink on the product. Seriously. For the love of coughing, what are we doing here?
By the way, we do not endorse smoking cigarettes.
No,
Just
we
so you
don't.
know. Okay.
No, we don't.
And
we also don't endorse stupidity.
Just stupid government actions.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And still today, the question, why don't you just outlaw it altogether? Because politically you can't.
wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
Has there been a study conducted on the ink used on the paper, the added ink? What are the dangers of the added ink on the cigarette? Smoking.
Wow. The ink
Warning,
contains
smoking added ink on a cigarette furthers your risk for impotence. Yeah. You know
So
what
there
else
you go.
causes impotence? Reading warning labels.
The View.
It's proven fact, though. It does. Yeah. True story.
I heard these guys on the radio say they're talking cigarettes and Sirius, and they compared The View to cigarettes. These guys are idiots.
Yeah. Well, and things that are bad for you. Yeah.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on compliance, safety, accountability. To determine a driver's compliance, safety, accountability, or CSA score, safety event data is recorded and compared against that of other drivers. Drivers are given a CSA score, but unlike motor carrier scores, driver scores are only visible to enforcement officers during an audit. However, drivers' most recent 5 years of crash data and 3 years of roadside inspection data is made available to potential employers via the pre-employment screening program. So it's a good idea for drivers to review their online PSP record from time to time. A request for data review can be submitted via data queues to have errors corrected or to have a non-preventable crash designation indicated for a crash. In the event a current or previous carrier is audited, records on drivers with high CSA scores will be targeted first, but individual drivers are not subject to CSA interventions like motor carriers. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
Hey, it's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome, and good morning. Yeah, I was reading the New York Post, extensive Hunter Biden laptop archive with nearly 10,000 photos published on a new website. And they had some photos, and I wish I hadn't read the article.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Why?
Why?
Yeah. Why?
How?
Why did they have to?
How? No, not even that. Because when I saw some of the pictures, I'm like, wow. Hunter knew he was taking all these pictures. I guess my question would be, how wasted do you have to be to take thousands and thousands of pictures when, you know that your father is one of the, you just don't care. You just don't give a damn.
No, I mean,
when your father was,
that's how far gone you are. I mean, or that's how arrogant you are, and that's the kind of arrogance you inherited from your dad. Seriously. Or all the above. I mean, but that's arrogance. However, that arrogance is brought about, whether it's inherited or it's a side effect of a drug you're on. Wow. That's a whole new level.
Yeah. I know media's going to post the stuff, even if I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
But it's like, what causes you as an individual?
Yeah, no. Great point.
Call and join the conversation. 1-866-90-RED-EYE. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, next week, it'll be interesting. We have the FBI going to bring the Joe Biden bribe document to Capitol Hill.
Mm-hmm.
To let both Comer and Raskin see it.
Yeah.
Just those two from what I have read on it. You have Chris Christie supposed to announce that he is running. You have first off, you have Mike Pence said that he's going to run. I've seen quite a bit of different analysis on Chris Christie. You and I've looked at it and said nobody's nobody is looking right now for Chris Christie to run. So, what is the purpose of him doing it? Some say he's the one that's going to go after, that basically he's okay with being the sacrificial lamb because his goal is to pound on Trump.
What's interesting is that I thought that we might see Mitt Romney jump in only for that reason. Not that Mitt Romney thought he could get the nomination, but just so he could get on a stage and go after Trump. And so it appears Chris Christie will be that guy. And I guess we'll see where it goes. I mean, the question is, what impact does Chris Christie have in that regard that Ron DeSantis won't? Because eventually Ron DeSantis will be doing the same. I mean, he's already going back and forth, but I mean, on a debate stage, it is going to be back and forth in a heated way. That's just the way it's going to play out. So,
well, one of them, I mean, I'm amazed, because we've already talked about DeSantis and what he seems to be doing early on.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the fact that in his speeches, he goes after Biden. And then when the questions come, he knows the questions are going to be on Trump.
Yeah.
And so then he answers, but he's only answering in response to what the reporters ask him, which, by the way, got to be bizarre yesterday when they were asking him how to pronounce his name. It's almost as if some of the reporters were trying to taunt him. And then Trump, of course, had to put out a thing. He doesn't even know his own name.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
how to pronounce his own name, which wasn't the point at all. I mean, DeSantis didn't bring it up.
Right.
It was brought up because he says, winner. That's what he said.
Yeah, right.
But, I mean, the things that have been going back and forth, and we'll get to that in a minute, are just things that are sort of, I believe, a wash. We'll get to that, just one specific thing here in just a minute. New York Post editorial yesterday. But when you look at Christie getting in, unless he's a pit bull, which is every single day just going after Trump. Because DeSantis isn't doing that right now.
Right, yeah.
And
DeSantis is only responding, really.
And this is where every single day you would say. And so if Christie is doing that, the question would be, why are you doing it? And if you're not doing it, if you're actually legitimately running, what do you think you have to offer? The other thing I would ask that same question too, those would be the questions I'd have for Mike Pence. Why?
Yeah.
Why are you running?
Right.
Because I can look at somebody like Ramaswamy and I understand why he's running.
Yeah.
He's running because every single time you see him speak, you go, what a great conservative point. What a great conservative point. What a great conservative point.
Yep.
What a great conservative point. Things that a Mike Pence wouldn't say. Because he gets really, Ramaswamy gets, pretty ideological on the specifics of things, and I've never known Pence to do that.
Right, yeah.
I mean, he might.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, he might, and that would be, but that'd be the question, what do you plan on doing? It's like Nikki Haley. Why is she running?
Right.
What's the point? Anybody talking about her here at the moment? Asa Hutchinson. Why? What's the point? Why are you running? And what I say by that is, if I'm running for president of the United States, I've got a plan, right? I'm just going to announce because I think I'm going to throw my name out there. No, I believe because you're doing research, correct? You're saying here's where the niche is, here's where I can get in, and here's where these political analysts tell me that I can squeeze between DeSantis and Trump, and I can successfully, pull in the vote in the current political atmosphere that we live in today. Do they actually do that, or it's like, I want to get in? What is it? What is it that they believe? And they're never going to tell you that. That's behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
But it's like, what do you think you have to offer? Not the don't give me the BS version the BS version a BS version. Okay. Define that, Gary.
Yeah.
But the BS version, give me the truth. how do you think that you can win? And I don't want somebody else's analysis. I want to know why you believe that you can win. And the people that we ask that question of are people like Nikki Haley, who it's like, can anybody tell me?
Yeah, right.
I mean, the only thing that she's known for is saying, I would take Disney in my state.
Yeah.
Really? How is that going to help you by saying that?
Yeah.
Do you believe you're going to get some Democrat votes in South Carolina and that's going to help you in some way? I mean, that just didn't make sense. You can't, it's like, where are you going? But if you are somebody like Ramaswamy, you know exactly why he's running because he's been so crystal clear. Everything he says is about why he's running. And it's mostly ideological. It's not going to get him the nomination, but you know, because there's a guy that probably most Republicans would agree with and say, I really, really like him, but I'm not going to vote for him.
Yeah,
I had somebody the other day tell me, why is everybody assuming that if people don't vote for Trump, they're going to vote for DeSantis? I'm voting for Ramaswamy. Can you answer that question?
Yeah.
Yes, I can answer the question as to why each individual of the 330 million people in the United States vote in their particular way. Well, of course, you may be voting for Ramaswamy. I can guarantee you he's not going to get 30 million votes. He's not going to get 40 million. He's not going to get 50. He's not going to get 60. So, yeah, you may, I can't argue with the guy because he's made his decision of who he's going to vote for, and he won't vote for DeSantis. There is no indication that that is the majority of the Republican Party. If they decide that Trump isn't the man, then Ramaswamy is.
Right.
And I have nothing bad to say about Ramaswamy either.
No.
Ideologically, I probably agree with everything I've seen. I've agreed with. So I'm just guessing there would always be 10% I don't agree with. But everything he has said ideologically and constitution-wise, I agree with him on.
Yeah.
But at least I understand why he is running, what he wishes to push.
Right.
Chris Christie, I can't tell you. Mike Pence, I can't tell you. Hutchinson, I can't tell you. Larry Elder, yeah. Probably a little bit. Not as well marketed as a Ramaswamy, but probably a lot of ideological ideas the same way.
Yeah. There are a lot of people that I agree with that I don't believe are going to be president in come January 2025. And there could be a number of things. Look, the races have a tendency to change and shape in ways that you can't always predict. And there could be something. I don't see it at this point where we are in June of 23 happening for Mike Pence. We'll see. I don't see it happening for Chris Christie. We'll see. I don't see it happening for Ramaswamy. We'll see.
As to DeSantis and Trump, I mean, DeSantis, I'm getting what I expect from him.
Yeah.
This past week. Looking at Trump, I mean, the two things. I think Trump, remember when Trump said he could shoot somebody and still people would vote for him?
Yeah.
I still think he has that attitude that.
Yeah.
Because
I think so.
The going after Kayleigh McEnany, I mean, everybody was blown away by that. Going, what are you doing? What's the point?
Right.
You're not even sure what poll she's talking about, and you're basically calling her a rhino and a globalist.
Yeah.
Based on what? There was a debate going on. Was she probably his most loyal employee who served him in the White House? There was actually a debate going on. She was either first or second. It's like
I was going to say, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone more loyal.
Yeah. It's like that made no sense, whether that affects down the road. But then as the New York Post writes here, Trump, the COVID Cuomo-sexual. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that word was being used back then for Cuomo? Who says bromance is dead? Our ever-fickle ex-president Donald Trump has found a new fave in an old enemy, disgraced former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, on whom he basically showered praise from his Truth Social account for his handling of New York's COVID crisis by contrasting it favorably with that of chief GOP rival Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Trump's added yet another hat, prominent Cuomo-sexual, to the many he already wears. Only president to be impeached twice, only president to appear in a Home Alone sequel. And Cuomo, a founding member of his own fan club, kindly reciprocated, tweeting that Donald Trump tells the truth. Finally, New York got hit first and worse, but New Yorkers acted responsibly. Florida's policy of denial allowed COVID to spread, and that's why they had a very large second wave. But as sweet as it is to see this bipartisan crush flowering, it is important to remember a few key details. On the most basic measure of COVID outcomes, age-adjusted deaths, Florida did far better than New York, per the CDC. And DeSantis managed this without any of the terrible damage Cuomo's clampdowns did to the businesses, schools, and life here in general, or the excess deaths they caused. I don't think they even mentioned the nursing homes here. Mm-hmm. New Yorkers know it, too. They left the state in droves, and Florida saw its population boom and its economy boom. This is about the facts, of course. Trump's trying to hide his own record on COVID, letting Dr. Anthony Fauci and company push the nation into needless, endless, harmful lockdowns from primary voters while slamming a big threat. Cuomo's embarked on what he's got to be the most chutzpah-driven rehabilitation tour in American political history, and he has some stiff competition. These two are perfect for each other. Big egos, famous dads, questionable ethics, and a deep love of attention. The fling of the summer, in a word, though it would make for a third-party ticket of our nightmares. Wow. Trump, yeah. Cuomo. But for that, I mean, I have no idea. I don't believe that's what his campaign advisors are telling him to do. Praise Cuomo and have this mutual admiration society on COVID with Cuomo. I don't know where the hell, if anybody came up with the idea, they're nuts.
No, that's insane.
But for him to do that, so the Kayleigh McEnany was one, and that was just like, what are you doing?
Well, keep in mind, what happened when the vaccines came down? Cuomo said, no. Anything from the Trump administration, we're going to put the brakes on this.
Yes, exactly. Because it comes from Trump.
Yeah.
So for Trump to but nobody, even the most loyal Trump supporter, doesn't buy what Trump said about Cuomo.
Yeah. It's weird.
It's bizarre.
It is.
866-90-RED-I.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-I on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I still think that, the focus on the early reaction to COVID really is a wash for both of the candidates. This is my opinion. Now, so because early on nobody knew what was going on.
Well, and I've said too, I think from the beginning that it is a wash, and the reason is what you mentioned, and also. Most people want to put the whole COVID thing to bed.
Well, realistically, in the real world, I believe it should be a wash. In the political world, I do think that DeSantis does have the advantage because Fauci worked for Trump.
Well, there's still a concern.
That's a political advantage. I'm not saying that.
No, I think so. And I think you're right on that because the concern still is with Fauci and also what money went into it, how many lies he's still telling about the whole thing. That is still something that works politically.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.